In the untamed expanse of the American frontier, where dreams of fortune and exploration converged, a tale of speed, bravery, and triumph unfolded. This is the story of the Pony Express, an audacious mail delivery service that defied the odds, connected a nation, and etched its mark on the annals of history. It was the mid-19th century, a time when the West beckoned with promise, and the California gold rush lured fortune seekers from far and wide. By 1850, California entered the Union as a free state. By 1860, the population had grown to 380,000. The prospect of California and its national role became the source of bitter partisan debate in Congress. The demand for a faster way to get the mail and other communications to and from this westernmost state became even greater as the American Civil War approached. William Russell, Alexander Majors, and William B. Waddell were the three founders of the Pony Express. Russell was a prominent businessman, well respected among his peers and the community. Waddell was co-owner of the firm Moorhead, Waddell & Company. In 1859, C.R. Moorhead took the proposal for the Pony Express to President Buchanan. After Moorhead was bought out and moved to Leavenworth to enter the mercantile business, Waddell merged his company with Russell's, changing the name to Waddell & Russell. In 1855, they took on a new partner, Alexander Majors, and founded the company of Russell, Majors, and Waddell. They held government contracts for delivering army supplies to the western frontier, and Russell had a similar idea for contracts with the U.S. government for fast mail delivery. By using a short route and mounted riders rather than traditional stagecoaches, they proposed to establish a fast mail service between St. Joseph, Missouri and Sacramento, California, with letters delivered in 10 days, which many said was impossible. Russell, Majors, and Waddell organized and put together the Pony Express in 2 months in the winter of 1860. The undertaking assembled 80 riders, 184 stations, 400 horses, and several hundred personnel during January and February 1861. Majors was a religious man and resolved by the help of God to overcome all difficulties. He presented each rider with a special edition Bible and required this oath, which they were also required to sign. I do hereby swear before the great and living God that during my engagement, while I'm an employee of Russell, Majors, and Waddell, I will under no circumstances use profane language, that I will drink no intoxicating liquors, and that I will not quarrel or fight with any other employee of the firm, and that in every respect I will conduct myself honestly, be faithful to my duties, and so direct all my acts as to win the confidence of my employers. So help me God. Oath sworn by Pony Express riders. Beginning at St. Joseph, Missouri, the approximately 1,900-mile-long route roughly followed the Oregon and California trails to Fort Bridger in Wyoming, and then the Mormon Trail, known as the Hastings Cutoff, to Salt Lake City, Utah. From there, it followed the Central Nevada route to Carson City, Nevada Territory, before passing over the Sierra and reaching to Sacramento, California. From there, mail was transferred to boats to go downriver to San Francisco. Along the long and arduous route used by the Pony Express, 190 stations were used. The stations and station keepers were essential to the successful, timely, and smooth operation of the Pony Express mail system. The stations were often fashioned out of existing structures, several of them located in military forts, while others were built anew in remote areas where living conditions were basic. The route was divided into 5 divisions. To maintain the rigid schedule, 157 relay stations were located from 5 to 25 miles apart, as the terrain would allow. At each swing station, riders would exchange their tired mounts for fresh ones, while home stations provided room and board for the riders between runs. This technique allowed the mail to be moved across the continent in record time. Each rider rode about 75 miles per day. William Russell, senior partner of Russell, Majors, and Waddell, and one of the biggest investors in the Pony Express, used the 1860 presidential election of Abraham Lincoln as a way to promote the Pony Express and how fast it could deliver the U.S. mail. This was an important event because just 4 years earlier in the prior election, it took months to get news of James Buchanan's win. The election of Lincoln was important because the newly named president would have to take the country into the Civil War. Prior to the election, Russell hired extra riders to ensure that fresh riders and relay horses were available along the route. On November 7, 1860, a Pony Express rider departed Fort Kearny, Nebraska territory with the election results. Riders briskly traversed the route over snow-covered trails to Fort Churchill, Nevada territory. California's newspapers received word of Lincoln's election only 7 days and 17 hours after the East Coast papers, an unrivaled feat at the time. Unfortunately, things were not going so well while the Pony Express was in operation. The Paiute War broke out in 1860 in the western part of the United States, which resulted in the disruption of mail services of the Pony Express. The Paiute War was a minor series of raids and ambushes initiated by American expansion into the territory of the Paiute Indian tribe in Nevada. During that year, other isolated incidents occurred when whites in the Paiute country were ambushed and killed. The Pony Express was a special target. 7 other express stations were also attacked. 16 employees were killed, and around 150 express horses were either stolen or driven off. Those who worked at the stations had no one around, possibly for miles, to help defend against the attacks, making working at the stations one of the deadliest jobs in the whole operation. The Paiute War cost the Pony Express Company about $75,000 in livestock and station equipment, not to mention the loss of life. In June of that year, the Paiute Uprising had been ended through the intervention of U.S. troops. During this brief war, one Pony Express mailing, which left San Francisco on July 21, 1860, did not immediately reach its destination. That mail pouch did not reach St. Joseph and subsequently New York until almost 2 years later. In 1860, writing for the Pony Express was difficult work. Riders had to be tough and lightweight. An advertisement allegedly read, "Wanted, young, skinny, wiry fellows, not over 18. Must be expert riders, willing to risk death daily. Orphans preferred." The Pony Express had an estimated 80 riders traveling east or west along the route at any given time. In addition, about 400 other employees were used, including station keepers, stock tenders, and route superintendents. Many young men applied. Waddell and Majors could have easily hired riders at low rates, but instead offered $100 a month, a handsome sum for that time. Author Mark Twain described the riders in his travel memoir, Roughing It, as usually a little bit of a man. Though the riders were small, lightweight, generally teenage boys, they came to be seen as heroes of the American West. The horse is another admirable hero. At the west end of the Pony Express route in California, 100 head of short-coupled stock called California horses and another 200 native ponies in and around the Great Salt Lake Valley were purchased. The horses were ridden quickly between stations, an average distance of 15 miles, and then were relieved and a fresh horse was exchanged for the one that just arrived from its strenuous run. During the route of 80 to 100 miles, a Pony Express rider would change horses 8 to 10 times. Horses were ridden at a fast trot, canter, or gallop around 10 to 15 miles per hour, and at times they were driven to full gallop at speeds up to 25 miles an hour. Horses of the Pony Express were purchased in Missouri, Iowa, California, and some western U.S. territories. The various types of horses ridden by riders of the Pony Express included Morgans and Thoroughbreds, which were often used on the eastern end of the trail. Mustangs were often used on the western, more rugged end of the mail route. Because Pony Express riders rode their horses at a quick pace over a distance of 10 miles or more between stations, every consideration was made to reduce the overall weight the horse had to carry. To help reduce this load, special lightweight saddles were designed and crafted. Using less leather and fewer metallic and wood components, they fashioned a saddle that was similar in design to the regular stock saddle generally in use in the West at the time. During its brief time in operation, the Pony Express delivered about 35,000 letters between St. Joseph and Sacramento. Although the Pony Express proved that the central northern mail route was viable, Russell, Majors, and Waddell did not get the contract to deliver mail over the route. The contract was instead awarded to Jeremy DeHutt in March of 1861, who had taken over the southern, congressionally favored Butterfield Overland Mail Stage line. So-called stagecoach king Ben Holliday acquired the Russell, Majors, and Waddell stations for his stagecoaches. Shortly after the contract was awarded, the start of the American Civil War caused the stage line to cease operation. From March 1861, the Pony Express ran mail only between Salt Lake City and Sacramento. The Pony Express announced its closure on October 26, 1861. 2 days after the Transcontinental Telegraph reached Salt Lake City and connected Omaha, Nebraska, and Sacramento. Other telegraph lines connected points along the line and other cities on the east and west coasts. Despite the subsidy, the Pony Express was a financial failure. It grossed $90,000 and lost $200,000. While the Pony Express was a remarkable feat, it faced challenges that eventually led to its demise. The emergence of the telegraph system, financial difficulties, the increasing threat of Native American attacks, and the harsh realities of operating in the unforgiving western wilderness all contributed to its closure after just 18 months. However, its significance and impact during its brief existence cannot be understated. In 1866, after the Civil War was over, Holliday sold the Pony Express assets, along with the remnants of the Butterfield stage, to Wells Fargo for $1.5 million. As the Pony Express mail service existed only briefly in 1860 and 1861, few examples of Pony Express mail survive. Contributing to the scarcity of Pony Express mail is that the cost to send a 1/2-ounce letter was $5 at the beginning, equivalent to $160 in 2022, or 2.5 days of semi-skilled labor. By the end of the Pony Express, the price had dropped to $1 per 1/2 ounce, but even that was considered expensive to mail one letter. Only 250 known examples of Pony Express mail now remain. In 1869, the United States Post Office issued the first U.S. postage stamp to depict an actual historic event, and the subject chosen was the Pony Express. Until then, only the faces of George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and Andrew Jackson were found on the face of U.S. postage. The stamp was to honor the men who rode the long and sometimes dangerous journeys and to commemorate the service they provided for the nation. In 1940 and 1960, commemorative stamps were issued for the 80th and 100th anniversaries of the Pony Express, respectively. The legacy of the Pony Express lives on through various commemorations, museums, and historical sites dedicated to preserving its memory. Reenactments and festivals pay tribute to the riders and their brave horses, celebrating their contributions and immortalizing their remarkable achievements. The Pony Express remains an enduring symbol of American ingenuity, resilience, and the spirit of adventure. The Pony Express is still remembered and very popular today. Artistic works like books, movies, and television all reflect this. The first book solely devoted to the Pony Express was published in 1900, and it was titled Wild West Show. Several films and TV shows were continuously produced over decades. Overall, the Pony Express stands as a testament to human determination, innovation, and the pursuit of progress. It played a pivotal role in connecting a vast nation, transcending geographical barriers, and leaving an enduring legacy as an iconic symbol of the American West.